This is Specr. This is a web app I've developed for my Mod 5 project at Flatiron School in Houston, Texas. Specr is a website designed, or web app designed to help a user discover the appropriate computer for their use case scenario. A lot of the times when I worked at Best Buy, a lot of people would come in with wildly terrible ideas as to what they'd be spending on a computer, what specs they would require. So this is to help somebody get over the problems that may plague somebody who's about to buy a computer for the first time. Mainly, what specs do I need, and roughly how much is that going to cost me with current hardware in the market? So you can see here we have the entirety of all the computers at your homepage. We are currently not logged in, and we can go to here, and we have a little survey, a little short survey that you can do. So let's go ahead and fill out some of this survey. Let's say I'm going to use this computer for engineering. I'm not going to use this for games at all. Do I tend to use this computer for school? Sure, we'll say that. Maybe I'm going to A&M. I'm about to be a student there. I'm not going to stream to websites like Twitch. Do I intend to use a computer for a business startup? In the future, I'd like to. And, I'm just going to be honest on this one and say 11 plus tabs. I'm crazy about those tabs. And you can see here we have a few recommendations of what fits the spec requirements of that. You can see that I'm not getting recommended anything lower than an AMD Ryzen 7 or Intel Core i7. That's modern at the moment. The selections here are a little bit sparse, as I had to create the entire backend, including the list of computers by scratch and by hand. And I don't have every computer ever listed here, and these are listed twice to save me the time to make it look a little more populated, sort of give the user an idea. This is sort of the website in a quote-unquote demo mode. So if we can go ahead and say, I would like to maybe, I want to look at laptops that'll fit my uses here. I can look at all these laptops, and I can look at, say, this one here, and I can see a few things about this laptop right off the bat. I can see some reviews, I can see the specs, and I can see that that somebody has favorited this computer. I currently, even though I see the button, I cannot favorite this computer. Now, if I'm wondering, why did I not see anything cheaper than the thousands of dollars range? Well, that's because, and this is the about page, and this will sort of outline, basically saying, if you don't see it, it probably means that that it's not going to fit your use case scenario correctly. It explains some specs in a very broad way here, and a little bit more in depth here. It also explains RAM and what the misconception is. It doesn't go into why. It just explains that there's a difference between storage and RAM, and a little note on workstations for those who may need a workstation and may be browsing for workstations. As well, we have the little here. This will take you to Puget Systems. If I were to click that and take us to Puget Systems, they are very well known for building custom machines for very high-end applications. I would recommend them for some of your really intense computer needs. Going back to the React app that I built here, if I go back to the home page, I can look at these computers again. I can look at this one. I can see it has no reviews. I can see its specs, and I can see 10 people have favorited this computer. Typically, when your screen is a little bigger, this particular box actually shows up here, but for this demonstration, it is showing up here in the corner. It's just resizing based off the screen that you have. And I quite like where this is at the moment, though some design changes will be coming in shortly. In general. Now, let's say I want to favorite this computer. What if I want to write some reviews? Well, I can log in. What if I don't have an account? Let's create a new account. So I'm going to go ahead and type in a username. I'm going to name myself Billy Joe Bo Bob. I'm going to make it all lowercase, or else I'm going to forget this user even exists. I'm going to type in a password. And then I'm going to name, and then the person's name is actually going to be Patrick. So I'm going to create the account, and now Billy Joe Bo Bob, and then and you can see I have not logged in correctly, so we're going to try that again. We're going to log in. Yes, I seem to have forgotten how to spell Billy Joe Bo Bob. So we're going to go ahead and just make a new account. I'm not going to worry about it too much. We're going to call this account computer searcher. I'm going to type in some passwords. And then this is going to be, let's say, Bill. That's this person's name. So we're going to create the account and then we're going to log in. There we go. So you can see now it's saying welcome back Bill and knows that I'm logged in. Then you can see that the website's changed a little bit. You can see that the bar now has favorited computers and as well as a logout button. The logout button does what you think it does, and I'll show you that off in a moment. And as Bill, I don't have any computers saved as my favorites. So let's go to the home page and let's find this computer. And man, this looks like a nice computer. And you can see now I have the option to leave a review on this computer. I can resize this just a little bit. Again, this is only resizing because this was made with bigger monitors in mind, but some tweaks will happen to this to make that fit a little better. So now I can favorite this computer and I can write a review. I'm going to say, awesome machine does what I need it to do. I'm going to hit submit review and you can see the review shows up. I can go into the home. I can go back to that computer in particular. And I can see that there's review on it right there. And I can go to my favorited computers, and there it is saved as one of my favorites to visit later. A side note, you can favorite the computer over again and over again, and you will see, after a quick refresh on this page, that this computer has been favorited this many times. This is a sort of a feature. I understand that this might seem a little strange, but the reason I allow this is in a scenario where if grandma gets on your computer and makes an account, saves a bunch of computers to her favorites, and she says, okay, now pick a good one out for me, and you see that the same one's been picked 1,000 times, you kind of know what grandma really wants. And if that's a good computer, then you can help grandma for sure. Another thing, that this does come with two things. So firstly, in this Dell Inspiron, we have the OEM website linked here. This takes you straight to Dell. So you can look at Dell, you can look at their company. In case you needed to look at them for whatever reason, contact Dell. All the things you might need to do on Dell's website. Back here, we can also go back, and we have a Newegg link to this exact model. I've chosen Newegg because, and this might sound weird to some, but in reality, not everybody has a Best Buy just down the road. And even though I'm in Houston and I have a Micro Center not too far away, I don't entirely... I know that not everywhere, a lot of places actually don't have Micro Center. And while I love Micro Center, I would rather give the user something that they can more reliably go to. So I chose Newegg. I could have done Amazon, but Amazon can be a little finicky when it comes to purchasing a computer. So I go back and we can see that this is the computer again. Another feature I can do, I can go ahead, I can hit finance, and if all I'm going to do is finance and I just gloss over everything else, I am absolutely allowed to do that. And nothing gets narrowed down, but you can see different computers have shown up, such as this Lenovo IdeaPad. If I go back, hit finance again, hit submit, and such, I can now filter by type. Maybe I want to do finance, but I want laptops. Well, here are some laptops. So you can see here's some i5 computers. Here's a Ryzen 7. Here's some MacBooks. Some more i7 computers here. And the MacBook Pro. And I decided to use a 2019 i9 model, not the 2018. I wouldn't recommend the 2018 one due to thermal throttling. However, that is there now because of that. Let's say now you decide, well, I don't really care what it is, but maybe I want Intel processors. And you can see none of the computers that had AMD processors are showing up at this point. You are getting everything that's Intel processor related. We could even say, well, let's stick it to the man. Let's say nuts to Intel. I want an AMD machine. Well, here you go. Here's some AMD machines. And here we go back to all. And we can also filter by your operating system. So let's say I don't care what's inside the computer. I just want computers that are going to work for my use case scenario, and they're going to be Apples. They're going to be Macs, because I like Mac OS. Or it's a security thing. For whatever reason, if the user wants a Mac, that preference can exist here. You can also see Chrome is in there as an option. So if a user just wants a very simple Chromebook and they just want some options for Chromebooks, they actually do have that option. I did include Chrome for that reason. You can also see here, if I were to do Mac, I want a MacBook. I want a Mac, but I want it to be an AMD processor. You'll find that the AMD will override all the Macs. You're going to get Windows computers again. This is also sort of by design. This way, a user can figure out relatively quickly, well, maybe my expectations are a little unrealistic. As well, going back to this does have the note on workstations. I was going to get to a little more. So right here, you can see the little paragraph. This talks about how CPUs such as Xeons and GPUs such as Quadros, while they're fantastic specs, they are not always the best for every application just because they're high-end. This computer is fantastic for what it's worth. It's very powerful and very beefy. I would not tell you that this is a bad computer, but what I would tell you is that for certain applications, this computer would not be the best scenario. It does have a Xeon, and it does have a Quadro, but you're going to lose a lot of battery life because of this. You're also going to... This is not very good for gaming, because you really shouldn't be playing games on Quadro. At least not if you can avoid it. And that's really about all that is here. There are some features that are going to be coming down the pipe, and I plan to make some update videos as those come up. And that is the current such thing. So real quick, just to reiterate, for favorited computers, I can go to the home page and I can favorite, let's favorite this Chromebook. Why not, right? I'm going to favorite this computer, go to favorited computers, and you can see now we've got an extra Chromebook here on the bottom. Now, as well, you'll notice I don't have the ability to filter by the MTK or PowerVR, CPU, GPU, etc. I chose not to allow that, or not to give that as an option, specifically due to the fact that Chromebooks can just have wildly different specs from conventional computers, and trying to include everything would be very, very difficult to manage. Huh, that's strange. Did I name this Patrick? Well, anyway, and so here I can hit logout, and you can see we're back to the logout. We currently cannot review things. We cannot favorite this computer. It just isn't going to happen, but we can still look and see that Anonymous was here and that this person thinks this computer is overpriced. These are anonymous for the moment. However, they can be switched on to display a username, but I do have them to anonymity for the time being, just as a executive decision on my own end. And this is what a computer looks like in case we haven't covered it. When it doesn't have any reviews, you can't review it, and you can't favorite it. This has not had anything done with it yet, but surely when users decide to pour into this to find their right machine, they'll find that they're going to review what they need sooner than later. And that is Specr.